share Tommy's.
Only
Yeah.
1,995.
We got 3 nice squibs.
Diamond jewellery.
We get a report from Collin.
Yeah.
Must have been Collin out there.
Must have been not. No. No, no, I couldn't weather. See, I'm getting cold. I'm getting cold now.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
I am, but it's warmer than out there.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah.
Ah,
But I'm cold.
that's it.
Do you suffer with the cold weather?
Oh, yes, but I keep it pretty warm most of the time.
Mm.
Going to cost me a bit.
Growing the potatoes and the collies and that.
Not lately.
Not like, all right, well,
Keeps the heater going.
mm. Well, you can turn that off.
Turn it off. They might replay it, might get a different result.
Yeah, you may not.
No, not. I can fix them, Collin. There we go. There we are, Graham. Yeah. So how much do we owe you for this chicken, Collin? You had to go drive over 3 times to get it.
Yeah, well, it didn't cost me anything to go down and get
Yes,
it.
towards expenses.
No, my shout.
When we...
I'm shouting.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm saying,
When are you going to get petrol?
Well, we'll have to do that on the way
We'll
back.
work that out. And
We'll worry about that later.
Use that
Yeah.
for petrol.
Yeah. And the coffee. Can I have a coffee at Wakefield?
Coffee at Wakefield.
Yeah, hot one.
Yeah, of course you
Not
can.
now, at
You-
Wakefield,
you
on
can
the one
have-
later.
You can have one here before you go.
Yeah, I know that.
Have some dinner here
No.
before you go.
We'll give that to Graham and then he's in charge. There.
Yeah.
Now, earlier on, I was going to talk about
What are we
a
going
bit
to
of
do?
the history of the Eye family.
Hey?
Do you know anything about the history of the Eye family?
The history of the Eye family.
Yeah, your parents, yourselves, any of them in jail or anything interesting?
Oh,
Geez, I don't know what to say about our parents.
Well,
Do you?
going back in the Depression,
Yeah.
our old man, he grew more quality type of vegetable,
Mm.
which he sold better in the Depression,
Hmm.
Well,
and had sometimes he had a bit over, but that he sold that better than some people around him.
well, yeah, I think Ray Eye had the name for growing
For quality.
quality cauliflowers, didn't he, in particular? And people like, well, the Fries and Bill Nye and Bill McShane. No, he used to give them bloody seeds of cauliflower seeds to grow, and then they'd be marketing them,
Yes.
you know, when, well...
When they're the opposition.
Well, that's right,
Sort
they're
of.
the opposition.
But,
Do you remember when I can remember walking with bloody seed after school one night up to Bill Noy's place to take some bloody cauliflower seed. I walked through bloody, you know, it was Packers. Packers had the 2-storey house and the house there, I think. And walked through there, or before Ronnie Fry's days over there.
I don't remember that name. Noise. Bill
Noy.
Noy.
He lived opposite side to the river,
Okay. To the Packers.
a bit further on than Packers. He was next to Skinner's on the other side of the river. Coming down, there was Skinner's and then Bill Noy and
I think
Wicks's.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just on the riverside of the aqueduct, wasn't he? And over
Yeah, well,
towards the hills, like just over in that direction.
yeah, he's in that area. I don't know if he had any land above the aqueduct.
I don't know. But do you know how he died? His sons, when they got out of the garden, I don't know how old his sons were, but they went somewhere and they bought a farm. And Bill Noy was retired, went down there one day when they were loading, you know, those big round bales of straw onto a truck,
Yeah,
and one rolled off the truck on top of him and killed him.
and,
And that'd be a shock to the sons too, wouldn't it?
Yes.
To think that
You wouldn't live it down.
you wouldn't live
You
it down.
couldn't.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
uh,
You'd know it wasn't deliberate and all that, but
Well, that's right. You
it'd
wouldn't
be
live
hard.
it. Well, it was just down there
Yeah.
on perhaps for a few days, holiday,
Helping out.
helping out, and that's what
Yeah.
happened to the poor fellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was friends with a guy that worked with us at Tully's, Alan Reeves. Alan Reeves used to talk about Bill Noy being a very, very good footballer.
Yes, I believe so, but I don't remember him playing.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
For years I've wanted a photo of that cat and
But-
bird, and I've never ever got it.
Got one.
Hartley's always,
He notices.
he's always remarked on that photo.
I know.
He
They,
said to me, why the hell haven't you done something about that?
they had a program once of unusual relationships. They had an elephant and a fox terrier dog. That would beat it.
The cat and the budgie.
Well, that's right, as you can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
There's no one there. Someone took the photo,
Yes.
and that's cat would be there like that, and the budgie would go up to him and chew his whiskers.
Yeah.
You know, grab hold of his whiskers, and he'd just put his head away like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't allowed to touch the budgie.
Well, that's right. We taught him
Yeah.
that that was a pet, and he
Yes.
realised it. He
Yeah,
wouldn't
he
touch
learned.
it.
Yeah.
But one day, the same bloody cat. I was in the bathroom, and the cat was sitting on the bathroom window, outside the window, and I opened the window, and he was looking at a sparrow on the lawn,
Yeah.
and I said, "Lucky, go and get him." And he got up and he walked along the windowsill, and he went bop and hit me in the side, and burst a blood vessel, and it filled up with blood.
The cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was lucky he didn't have his claws out, he just
Okay, just-
went bop. Yeah, in other words, put your head in, mate.
yeah, I don't kill birds.
And
Yeah.
what's her name? Took me to the Modbury Hospital, and there was a heap in the waiting room. And one of the nurses,
If I had my time over again,
yes,
I'd love to have a tape recorder in our young days and tape that
what?
cocky that we had.
Yeah.
That,
How many words could it
Yeah.
say?
Oh, well, I've always said that would be the clearest and the best talker I have ever heard. Would you agree with that?
that bird was so intelligent. If someone come and knocked on the back door
Yeah,
and he was up the pepper tree, he'd
Or in the
say,
shed.
"Anybody home?"
yeah, and when they go, he'd say goodbye.
Yeah.
And they used to think it was someone.
Anyone that come out the back door walked away, he'd say goodbye.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they thought that someone was.
If you walked out into the backyard and start scraping the plate, he'd call the dog
Yeah, or the
by
cat.
name. He'd
Yeah.
call Ted, 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 Ted.
And I can remember when we used to clip his wing, or they didn't you? He used to clip his wing so as he couldn't fly, and then it would grow, and he took off one day, and he flew up to the Atherstone school, where we were all going to school, and the kids were running around, he was going, and carrying on. And of course, of a night time, or when he was hungry, Clem, being the eldest, had to feed him.
It said Clem in two different fashions.
And
When he was hungry or wanted a drink of water, he'd say Clem, Clem,
yeah.
Clem,
And
just like
it'd
that.
be Clem in the end if Clem
Yeah.
didn't.
He wouldn't give up until someone got some feed or water for him. You know.
Well, someone, I don't know who, but someone's, when he was up at the school, in the gum trees out along the edge of the school, in the end he got hungry, you see. Clem was there, he was yelling out, Clem! Clem! Yeah. And someone said, hey, you know, a lot of people knew him, and they said, hey, you guys are going to get up there with
Get your
cage and get your cockies up at the school.
Yeah.
He was yelling out, Clem! Clem! It'd be coming on dark, and he'd still be hanging out the bloody tree. And he'd be yelling out, Clem! They'd take him in.
When one of them flew away and they was hungry, if you come out with a cage, they'd come down to you.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Come down to get in the cage.
He loved to get down in that hollow in the pepper tree,
Yeah.
and where a limb used. This pepper tree was pithy and rotten in the middle, and the cockies had hollowed out a hollow.
Yeah.
And in this spot where there was a limb previously, he'd stick his head out. He'd stick his head out, and he'd talk, you know. It was incredible.
Hartley, do you remember blaming me for making him savage? Was to get the bike pump and fill it up with water and squirt him up there. And poor old Clem, do you remember Clem was walking past? And he jumped on Clem and grabbed him by
Bit his ear.
and every time Clem put his hand up to try and knock him off, he bit him on the hand. And he had blood running out of his bloody hand, blood off his bloody hand. And Hartley said, that's your bloody fault, Collin, you made him bloody savage. And look, I've got to... Now, I thought of it only when I realised that you're coming up. I've gone and got an album where you're sitting out the front on the bloody stone wall that was made, playing his bloody banjo, and the cockie's sitting on his shoulder.
Got a photo.
Yeah, but that was before I made him savage.
Oh yeah.
When he was down in that hollow, if he went and tapped on the tree, he'd come up like shot. If you didn't get going, he'd jump on you.
Yeah. And I can remember, we used to say, shake hands, cocky, and he'd be going like this, you know. And if you went to grab him, he'd bite you, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
If you went to shake hands with him, he'd bite you.
Yeah, he'd put his paw up to shake hands with you, and he'd gradually get hold of it, and then boom!
Whilst you're talking, I'll see if I can
There
find
you
this
go.
album.
Is that the cocky that used to, if you're in trouble, now you're in trouble, one of them? Or was that?
Yeah, if you could have had a tape recorder and recorded that parrot, I don't think anyone could come up with one to beat it.
No. Is that good?
He was so intelligent.
You knew when you was in trouble, you better...
And as
That
Collin said, he was very intelligent, but he was a little bit savage.
Yes.
And the female, we had a pair, the female was so docile, you could handle her and do anything with her. But we used to keep their wings clipped a bit so they couldn't fly, and then they'd get up the pepper tree and then you had to be careful because when their feathers grew again, they'd take off and fly away.
Yeah.
And several times they'd fly away, and we were lucky enough to get them back. To finish up, the female flew away, and
Mick Hutchison's family, yeah.
yeah, and
Got it, yeah.
it was that tame, it would fly, it'd get on your shoulder, you know, and I think somehow or other Mick Hutchison got it up the other end of the district, and he kept it, of course.
Oh.
He kept it.
It was his.
I don't know how old it would have been, how long it lived, but they lived a long, long time, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that was in the old house where Annie Laurel
Yeah.
was, next to that, wasn't it? Yeah. That was different to where Clem lived? Like the original house. When I was about 5 and black and white TV started, I went over there and watched Rin Tin Tin or something. So,
Yeah, I thought it was where Clem lived was the same house.
same house or
Yeah.
next door or something?
Same house.
Yeah.
Under one of the rooms there was a cellar,
Yeah.
and it went down fairly deep. We had a dam alongside the house, and the water soaked from that under the house into
Into
that
the
cellar.
Yeah.
Remember that, Collin? There's a cellar under the room, our bedroom.
Yes, yeah.
And when they made the dam alongside the house, the water soaked in,
Did it?
yeah, into that cellar.
And I can remember someone saying that, I don't know, was it Dick? Or who, they used to get Clem there when he was a boy and threatened to throw him down the bloody cellar in that water. Was it Dick or Noel? Well, I don't know. But anyway, there's a couple of photos here that you blokes would be interested in. See, there's Les Paulson married Paddy Eye, Ken McShane, Finneman. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one on the right,
Ryan's
up the top, that one. No, the other one.
The other one there. Got it.
That looks like Ross Allen.
Ross Allen, Clyde White, I think that's, forget his name. Eric Finneman, Les Paulson, Ken McShane.
Yeah.
And that's Hedley, Tristral and Clem in a rowboat up the river.
Yep.
There's some of the boys. Who's that there? Gordon Hockley there, Ross Allen there. I can't. Is that Ron Larson there? I don't know. Clem and Neil, what's his name? Don Neil in the boat, in that dinghy. That's Clem. That looks like Hartley and Don Neil.
Yep.
That's Paddy Eye that married Les Paulson. That's Hartley and Mervyn in the zoo.
In the zoo?
Yeah.
With George, the gorilla? Or?
No, two lines.
2 lines. Yep.
Paddy Eye. That's Harold Lloyd dressed up. Do you remember when they had a mock wedding at the football club?
Yeah.
Mock wedding. That's Eve on Eye, Paddy Eye, and Betty Eye.
Yeah.
And that's Garth Hutchinson, Paddy Eye. That's the Gorge Weir.
Gorge Weir, yeah.
This is Mum and Linda, Auntie Linda, and
Ruby?
Joan, no, I think might have been Joan Hutchie standing on that swinging bridge was up at Wix's, that one. At Wix's.
Yeah.
That one. Now in here somewhere I think I've got Hartley. Oh, that was that little car that I bought through Lou Eye. That was Ken Hutchie's. He used to drive it to work. So some of them missing. There's Max Taylor and Hartley, younger than Neil, with the gloves on down at the our swimming pool.
Yeah.
I thought I had Hartley in here. That was Ray Fry's, I think. No, I don't know whether that was Ray Fry's. Who was it had the? I don't know. There's some of the club boys.
School photo, is it? Oh no, it's footballers.
Football, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see him, Hartley? There's Sid Hooper. That was down at Port Malungo. Who's that? Is that Collin on your uncle had the motorbike side car. I thought I had Hartley in here. That's a photo of
Looking across
the Packers. There's Packers' house there, I think.
Yeah.
From the aqueduct.
From the aqueduct.
Packers
Yeah,
property.
Looking at that's
Couls's
property.
Yes.
Looking across.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Collin and Gordon, Hartley. I thought I had one in this one of you, with the cocky. See, a lot of them have been taken out. That's Ada dressed up as a swaggy.
Yeah.
Swagman, do you remember her
Yeah.
dressing up like that? Look, I've got heaps of photos. I don't know if you want to have a look at that, but there, take it over there. You're missing out, Shada. Sitting there. I might have Hartley in this. I don't know. Oh, look at the wrecks they are now.
So that's Clem, is it?
Clem. In the army days, that's
Yes,
the
yes.
photo of
Oh,
Clem.
we won't go through these. That's your cousin Doug Ringville at Rankin Springs when we went.
One of our cousins,
I towed a caravan
Lou, I only had daughters.
And he
He had
towed a
3
caravan.
daughters there.
Okay.
and we went to Queensland for holiday. Took Mum went with us. These are photos taken on the way.
Yeah.
That's a smashed up bloody truck. Glasshouse Plains, that's Mother.
Is it the Glasshouse Mountain in Queensland? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mum and Rosalie, Ringvale and Corrie.
Yeah, I've been there.
You been there?
Yeah.
This in the Taronga Park Zoo. These 2 monkeys were smoking cigarettes. They were. You could see one with he's got it. I think in a cigarette. What do you call it? Holder. And see these 2 monkeys, giraffes. They're a pair. And look, he's about to mount her. And true,
You'll cover his ears up.
he's about to mount her. And they had a young'un.
There's
These 2 giraffes in the Taronga Park Zoo. He's about to mount the female, shag her to death. and they had their baby.
Yeah.
When it was old enough, they sent it to the Adelaide Zoo.
Okay.
Hartley.
Yeah.
Show them the 2 monkeys smoking. Yeah, they were. They had them with cigarettes in their mouth.
Oh, yeah. Down there, Hartley.
Hey, you're not bloody.
No, not working.
No, it's not working.
We'll get organised for that another time, I think.
See, this is the monkeys
Smoking.
smoking cigarettes. Yeah.
Mm.
They were puffing away,
Yeah.
puffing away.
Anyway, better. There you go.
Yeah, well, that's mother. Doug Greenville, Collin. No, that's mother. Yeah, that's mother. That's Auntie Rosalie and Doug, cousin Doug. Now over there, this is at Threadbow. And do you know, we met Eddie Coventry, I think that was his car, and his wife. He was over there somewhere managing a quarry at that particular time. Eddie Coventry. And there's Ivy. There's Ivy there, and their dog. Ivy and the dog in their car.
And over there, did you go up to
Kosciuszko.
the top of the mountain through? It goes under.
The tunnel?
In the tunnel all the way out.
No, we were driving. But this is at Threadbow. Look at the snow.
Yeah.
And would you believe, I think that is where we first saw a bloody rabbit on our trip hopping
In the snow.
in the snow. That's a fact. It's a fact. There's Ivy and Eddie,
Yeah.
and oh, no, that wasn't their dog. There's their dog. But we met them at Threadbow, and they were over there managing a quarry. Oh, you remember him managing a quarry over there? Bloody well did.
That aeroplane I got home made of bullets. It was Ivy's brother that soldered that up for me
Ah?
in the army.
Mm-hmm. Pineapple plantation at Mumbai. Look at them there. They're all pineapples. All pineapples.
Yeah,
You can see a pineapple on that one there.
yeah.
That was swimming pool. Now that photo of you playing the banjo and the cocky sitting on your shoulder must be loose in there. I don't know whether you want me to.
No, not now,
Go.
but another time I'm sure if we got a copy of it, Hartley.
Oh yeah, well
Love to have it.
I'll go through them.
Yeah,
and,
when you're ready.
Mm.
Yeah.
and yeah.
So,
Mm. So
so where did Mum get her sense of humour from? Ada.
Ada May.
Mm. Or was that only with for the grandkids?
I think it was in the later days. I can remember
Mm.
she had a yarn that she used to tell, and she had a yarn that Ada had a yarn that she used to tell, and she used to tell it to the girls up at the I don't know. She belonged to a club or something up at the church. And
I'm not getting it.
you're not listening. Mum Ada had a yarn that she used to tell. She thought it was a bloody beauty.
Mm.
She said she was in at Craven's. You remember when Craven's had the shop in Adelaide?
Yeah.
Craven's
Yeah.
had this shop, right? And she was after a carpet. She wanted to buy a carpet, and she's talking to the salesman there, and she dropped her hanky down, And she said when she bent down to pick it up, she farted. and she said to the bloody sergeant, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." He said, "That's all right, madam." He said, "You'll shit yourself when I get you the price of the carpet." and, you know, she often told that same story.
Yeah.
And she thought it was really, really good. Yeah. Dropped her head in farting. And she said, "Pardon me," and he said, "You'll shit yourself when I tell you the price of carpet." Yeah. But she was a character. She was. I don't know where she got humour from. But hey, do you remember? There's one thing. Sometimes they used to be arguing or something and get into trouble, and we had these steps down out of the back of the house, didn't we? The steps down.
At the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mum would get after them and they'd run and they'd jump to clear the steps.
Yes.
And we had an old bloody tree that
Up over the
had
toilet.
fallen down like the gum tree down at Glenelg on the lavatory.
Yeah.
And they could run straight up it
Yeah.
and sit on the top of the lavatory.
Yeah.
And Mum would break off one of those sticks about this long and be trying to whack them.
Yeah, there's a big
Old
old
tree.
tree.
That fell over, didn't
When,
it?
yeah, you
Just like the old gum
could
tree.
run up that
Straight up it.
down the steps and straight up that tree to the top of the lavatory. Yeah,
And sit on it.
and Mum would be after us with a stick.
Yeah, she couldn't reach you. But the cocky, the galah used to sing out, "Hartley, Mervyn, come and take the lunch."
Yeah.
Down to the morning tea, down to the garden.
Yeah.
The cocky,
Yeah.
yeah,
"Hartley,
When-
Mervyn, come and take the lunch."
When Mum chased
come
us
and
with a
take the
stick,
lunch.
Yeah.
yeah, he'd cry and
Yeah,
and
that's
he'd
another
laugh.
thing. That's another thing. When well, if Mother had one of us
Yeah.
hitting us and we were crying, he'd be laughing. Or crying with you, and then he'd laugh. Wouldn't
He'd laugh. You just imagine, you know,
Oh,
what
yeah.
he'd do.
he? Yeah, wouldn't he? Laugh and then he'd cry, or he'd be
No,
crying first.
first he'd cry, and then when we start crying, he'd laugh.
That's a fact. He was so human, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, I'll tell you what. Honestly, you would not see another bird like that, would you?
He had many a handful of gravel thrown at him.
Yeah, true.
Pick it up and oh bugger.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, so, is he recording this?
No. No.
Are you bloody sure?
No. Tell them about the dog afterwards, when you used to tie the dog up, but keep going.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to tell you about, we had the white sulphur-crested, sulphur-crested. No, cocky. No, it was Corella. The white Corella cocky. White one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a cage beside the other one in his cage.
Yeah.
And if they could get near one another, they would bloody bite one another, wouldn't they? Back then. But in latter years, they put the two in a bird aviary. Do you remember when you put the two cockies in a bird aviary?
Yeah.
And one day, I saw the galah, would you believe it? He was on the Corella, and the Corella's going like this, and he's wagging his bloody tail around. I don't know whether he did shake her or not.
He's trying.
Hey?
He's having a good time by the sound of it. Yeah.
But he was, and they're old. And she's going like this. and I don't know if you remember, she laid an egg.
Yeah,
She laid an egg.
but she didn't sit on it.
Well, she broke it. Now, I've often thought about that. I thought, I wonder if it was, you know, sterilised. And what, I mean, if it had have been sterilised, you just imagine a Corella, white Corella,
Sulphur.
will, you know, bred up with a bloody galah.
Yeah.
What would it be like? Yeah, what would it be like? Getting back to the days there when they used to go shooting,
Yeah.
and Ted, as soon as you'd pick up the gun Saturday afternoon, he'd be sitting 100 yards down the road, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Ted, the
He'd
dog.
run away so we couldn't not tie him up.
Time up. Yeah.
He would.
Yeah.
So, instead of walking that way and he running off ahead of them, they'd walk the other way.
Yeah.
And he'd run around them.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, and then they caught him one day, tied him up, and they said to me, now don't you let him off. Do you remember?
He'd find us up in the hills
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, and you know, about 2 hours later, I reckon it was, I let him off the chain. I said, he won't go now. But Mervyn used to say, he's the fastest bloody dog. He'd run flat out and he could scent, couldn't he?
Yeah,
Flat out and he could scent.
he'd find us up
He
in the
found
hills.
them up in the hills, then he'd run ahead and frighten all the
As
bloody
soon
rabbits
as you
away.
lifted the rifle to shoot at a rabbit, he'd off.
But he used
Scared the
to,
bloody thing.
he used to run ahead of them and frighten all the bloody rabbits away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then the poor bugger coming home one day, he was that thirsty, he jumped in the, where they used to dip their sheep up there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, and
He dumped in there to have a drink, and it was stuff made up for dipping sheep, and he used to have fits after that, didn't he?
he spewed it all up. He was all wobbly on his feet and he spewed it all up and he was all right.
Then it come
Yeah, but don't you remember how he used to have fits after that? Fits. Do you remember when he used to have these fits?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I thought it was caused through that.
Every so often he'd have this fit. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that day, they said, now don't you let him off. And I said, no, I won't let him off. He found them.
He found them.
Yeah. And the poor bugger, when they'd go up to the aqueduct after these
See the
perch,
We used, if we were going to go up the hill shooting, we'd tie him up. About 2 hours later, Mum got sick of him yapping, and let him loose. We're up in Pixie's Gully, and look up, there's Ted. He tracked us all the way. He'd come on over the top of the hill coming down. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I can remember out shooting with Hartley. I brought up at their 90th. We're coming around the top of Pixie's Gully, coming home. It was during the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was walking behind you, and I wasn't shooting, I was with Hartley, and he saw a rabbit, hopped out of a warren, sitting on the just outside the burrow.
Yeah.
Hartley's up like this, sighted him up to have a shot. Another one hopped out and sat beside him like that. They were like that, and he shot them both through the head.
Yeah, I got two rabbits with one shot.
I hooked a whale the other week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And the cocky flew over the perch.
Yeah.
But no, he
Yeah, I
remembers
believe
that.
that, yeah.
You remember that, don't you?
Yeah.
He shot them both straight through the bloody head. How many times would that happen?
Well, Keith I come shooting with us once. We went up
I could see you do that.
No.
Six Creek area up a gully there, and a fox is running and it has jumped over a fence, and Keith shot it. He shot that bloody fox jumping over the fence.
Did he? Yeah, and I'll tell you another day, I was on my own walking around, I think I was on the second Sugarloaf, going around it, going more deeper, and a fox went past me, going the opposite direction, like this over the bushes, and I look up and there's a bloke walking towards me with
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Coming the other way.
yeah, coming the other way.
Wow. Yeah.
And you know, we used to sneak around there, didn't we? We knew where we were going to,
Where the rabbits would be.
yeah, and we'd sneak around there against the breeze and you might get a shot of the rabbit.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Each little gully, we'd have warrants and that, we'd crawl on our guts and look over and shoot a rabbit every time.
Yeah.
That's when they were thick in those days,
Yes.
heaps of them.
Yeah.
Len Wittenberry went up there with me when we was home on leave, and he had a mate with him. They walked up the gully. They wouldn't walk up where I went.
No.
I had bloody belt of rabbits all around, and they didn't have any.
No, no.
Yeah. Talking about good shot, do you remember when we rode our bikes one Easter up to the Murray,
Yeah.
and we slept in the punch shed on Manham side, the punch shed, that night, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, Hartley's ringing the bell. The bloke on the punt lived on the other side of the river. Well, one of you was ringing the bloody bell at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he went bloody mad when he came over. But anyway, we get on our bikes. I think Garth was with us, and Don Neal,
Yeah.
and Hartley and I think you were away then.
No, I was away in the army.
And we rode up to Sullivan's. Was it Sullivan's? Sullivan's had that.
Yeah.
Yes, and we camped there. And on a Sunday, we're standing on the bank of the river with, I had a rifle and Hartley had a rifle, but Don Neal had his rifle. And a police car had been up the river. A young girl got drowned on their way back, and they saw us with the rifle. So you weren't allowed to
Shoot on a Sunday. No.
So they stopped and they came down. And Don Neal had his rifle, and the cop said, "Whose rifle? Who's that belong to?" And Don Neal said, "It's his rifle." And we both got reported. We went down to Mecca O'Halloran, do you remember? We got fined. We both got fined for shooting it to me. But that same day, we were standing there. You had your rifle then, and there was a plover or something flying up the river, only about a third of the way out. And someone said to Hartley, "There's a shot for you." And he went like that. It was flying, bang, and dropped it. I think it died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
It must have. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You do. You dropped the bloody thing.
That day, the coppers
Got us?
there'd been a drowning or something upriver.
Yeah. A girl, young lass got drowned.
Yeah, up at Young Husband,
Yeah.
and they were
On
returning
their way back.
down. Don Neal had my rifle, and the copper pulled up, and Don pointed at me and said the rifle was mine. I got fined, and I hadn't touched it, you know.
And Don paid the bill for you.
Yeah.
Big size.
There's 5 of us rode our bikes up there,
Yeah?
and we carted all the gear, a tent,
Yeah, I think
a
about
cross
that.
line,
Yeah.
and we hired a boat up there.
Did we? I don't
Yeah,
remember that.
We hired a boat off fishermen at the Peppers, but all the gear for the camp we carted up there on
On
our
our
bikes
bikes.
or on the
And we rode up there, we were up there on the Friday night
Yeah.
early, or too late to
we
get over the
caught
river.
we caught a big Murray cod,
Did we?
and we
I don't
Sent-
see, I don't
yeah.
remember
on the cross line,
that. Mm-hmm.
and we sent that home with Ray Fry because we had that much to cart that we.
Oh, I thought he was going to say he
Yeah.
took it down to the coppers. Down to the bloody coppers. Eh? To find
Have
it.
a bribe. Have a try for it.
Well, there's 9 of us went up there once in Packer's truck.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't in that group.
We put a cross line across, and the fisherman, he made us pull it up.
Why?
So someone went over with him with a bag of veg and something, I don't know who it was, and he gave us permission to put it back.
I wasn't kidding. Yeah.
We caught a nice Murray cod that time.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be up there camping, there'd be a heap of us.
Yeah.
And at bloody 11 o'clock at night, these two would say, they'd take a lantern in that bloody dinghy,
Yeah.
and they'd run their cross line.
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
before they went to bed. Well, it might be 10 o'clock or a bit earlier, they'd say, well, I've got to run that cross line before we go to bed.
Yeah.
Jeez, heaps of bloody fish
Mm.
they used to catch. Cod.
Well,
and bloody-
we didn't have a free freezer to keep them. We'd have to give the bloody things away.
And do you know, to get them home,
Mm.
well, on the Monday is the day they'd have them in the net,
That's
alive,
right. Keep them alive.
keep them alive. No, they had banana crates.
Mm.
And they'd pack them in willow leaves, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I can remember when I get home, some of the bloody fish
Still breathing.
still breathing. Like this.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the trouble was, you'd catch 100 weight of fish, and you'd come home and have to give most of it away, because in those days we didn't have a fridge to keep it, or a
No.
freezer to keep it in.
No. You take some down to Mecco Haller and the
But it was
place
good
home.
fun catching it.
Oh, yeah, they enjoyed that. Well, I reckon you blokes would have, hell, you would have caught more fish than a lot of people, even the professional fishermen here. They caught thousands and thousands of bloody redfin perch, didn't you?
Yeah.
Thousands of them.
I often gave a big feed to Ern Norsworthy because he had a big family, about 30 kids.
Yes, that's
and-
right. I
and
don't
then
remember you
I'd be
doing
talking to Ern, and Ern would go up with the Lorenzas or somebody else,
that. And I might only
catch a heap of fish, never ever gave any back to me.
didn't they? The miserable soul.
Yeah.
And I can remember the snakes that Mervyn used to handle, bloody black snakes, and didn't they?
Catching
The
fish.
snakes.
Yeah, I had a habit of finding snakes.
Instead of fish.
Oh yeah, it was a Sunday. It would be a Sunday afternoon because Sid Hooper had rocked up. They were up the gorge.
Yeah.
It was in the springtime, and the pools were getting low, and they were
Yeah,
feeling around under.
So I'd let the water through the weir,
Mm.
and all the fish would come through, and there'd be in all the
Little
small
pools.
pools all along, and
Yeah.
we'd feel, and we'd gradually catch a good feed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd use a bit of netting, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
One each end of it and drag a pool if they could. But
Yeah.
this
With the rocks.
particular day, they could not do that, and they're feeling around under the bloody rocks for fish. I was there with them on
Yeah.
the bank. Mervyn says to Hartley, "I've got one."
Tell you
He
what, the
said,
bloody black snake.
yeah, he said it feels like a trout. Mervyn turned somersault in the bloody water and threw it out on the bank. Right?
Throw it out for you guys.
He threw it out on the bloody bank and it slithered back into the water and got under the rocks. And do you know they got it? They got a bloody big limb about this big round,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah,
And Sid Hooper said, "I'll take it home and make a..."
took it home and tanned it and made a belt out of it.
Yeah. And another day they'd been up at the aqueduct.
That's Hartley
After
reckons
the-
that's the only time he ever seen anyone walk on water.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I often said that. It's the first time I've seen Merv walk on water.
water.
He got out of it.
Sit himself. I saw him sit himself one day. We were going down the bloody channel from Popeye's, the crossing there. And when we went down through our garden, the old man was there with a duster and dusting cauliflowers. He said, "Where are you boats going?" It was a pretty warm day. Up the aqueduct. And he said, "Well, he said, you shouldn't be going up there today." He said, "You know, it's a pretty warm day, the snakes will be out." So we get up there, and they're going down towards the tunnel. I thought, that's funny, they didn't have anything, you know. And I've thought about it since. I don't know why they were going down there, but anyway, we get on this sheet, like a sheep track, in the grass this bloody high, and
Yep.
walking through this track. He's leading the bloody way, and Hartley's behind him, and I'm behind him. He jumped that high, ripped off his bloody boots, and I thought he'd seen a trout or something in the river.
I kicked the bloody
Snake, I think, went between his legs and whacked him. He nearly shit himself that day. And so did I. I said, "I'm going home." And that's the first time they said, "We're coming home with you." You did. You went home with me that day. Yeah, they did.
Another day, on a hot day, the snakes would get down and they couldn't get out. They'd finish up the Hope Valley
Yeah,
Reservoir.
they reckon it was alive with them.
But we
Snakes.
we killed them one after the other, and we had a bag with this heap of snakes in it.
Yeah. Yeah, do you want me to finish the story?
Yeah.
It was on a Sunday too, because Sid had brought Ruby and Grandmother Lloyd, Nellie up.
Yeah.
Poor old Grandmother Lloyd sitting on a bloody chair just out from the back door, and they tipped out 8 snakes, I remember, including a black one at her bloody feet, and she did a somersault in the air and landed back on the chair.
Oh, no.
She did, didn't she? She did a somersault out of the chair and landed back on it. She said herself. Oh, jeez. I'll never forget that.
Is that where Len got it from?
We had a,
If you went up there in the middle of summer on a stinking hot day,
Yeah,
it'd be unusual if you didn't find a snake
in
that
there
had gone down
for a drink.
the concrete. Once
Yeah.
they got down there,
They couldn't get out.
back.
And
They go down
straight
for a
through to the
drink.
bloody reservoir.
Yeah.
Well, Sonny Hand worked over there, and Sonny used to say it was alive
Yeah,
with snakes around
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
yeah.
Back to the shooting.
Back shooting.
Who was the best shot in Athelston? Wasn't that
Oh, well.
they used to go down and have a cigarette, or what was that?
No. Harry Corker I used to have Ray.
Kimber.
Dad.
Was it a Kimber?
Corker I think it was.
For shooting.
Yeah, it must have been a rifle, and he had him tossing pennies for him. Corker? Was that Corker I? Do you remember that?
yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I thought it was Corker I. Or
That's one of them anyway.
or what would they hold out to for him?
The
In your
cigarette.
hand. Cigarette or something or other.
Well, that was Bill Kimber
Was it?
and Noel.
Oh, was it?
They got down the river and I was holding out and I was knocking it out of each other's hand with the rifle.
Yeah.
And the fry that lived where Maury Neal did later on, he seen him doing it.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah, he used to ride his horse along
Oh, Billy Fry.
Billy Fry. Yeah.
Horse across to work.
Yeah, he copped them firing something out of each other's head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we used to get a haircut from Lolai, and he lived next to the reservoir, Thornton Park Reservoir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one day he said that he pointed to a goldfinch right up the top of the pines. He said, "You watch."
Bang.
And down comes a bloody
Oh,
goldfinch. It's only a
little bird.
small bird. And always there's a little margin of error in a rifle.
Yes.
They used to allow for that in the army.
And what about, oh, go on, sorry,
You
interrupted you.
He shot that bloody goldfinch. Well, there wouldn't be any margin of error at all.
No. And I can remember one of those fellows, was climbing up one of the pine trees over there on the aqueduct. You know, climbing up, and then they lit a bloody fire around the
Yeah,
bottom.
that's right.
And he had to jump bloody down. Otherwise he would have been burnt alive up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't they? You ever hear that story?
I heard the story, but
See,
I can't
heard it?
remember who it was
No,
now.
well I wouldn't either. Another day there was a bloody old grey. Do you remember up on the bloody hill over there below the tunnel? You know? And they let it go down and over the bloody hill down into the river. An old grey that had been there for years.
Oh, yeah.
They got it rolling down the bloody hill. The shop,
Yeah.
the post office, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well before our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that would have been Collin's parents.
Yeah.
What I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a Miss Wittenberry
Yeah.
helped them into the shop,
She lived there, didn't she?
and
Queenie
because the
Marchant?
Wittenberries were related to the Marchants. It was through her that the Larsons found out we were in action.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow or other, Len Wittenberry could get messages through that us, but he was in headquarter company.
Yeah.
We'd get shot if we'd done that.
I'll go through my photos. See,
Look.
I've got a good
Oh.
photo of Merv. I've got a good photo of you when you was up at Darwin, sitting on a rail near a tent or something. I took a photo of you.
Good.
You're just in your shorts and, you know, muscles here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd get fit and
Yeah.
put on condition. Because we used to do so much every day. We'd run a mile, go over the assault course, yeah, and then have a shower and have your breakfast.
Yeah.
Every morning, then every Wednesday we
Oh,
went
right.
for a route
I'll
march.
catch it.
Yeah, this is in wet season when you couldn't go out in the bush.
You're talking about up Darwin?
Up at
Darwin,
Darwin,
You
yeah.
don't know.
And then
Whenever.
you'd go on
Yeah.
a
Oh, excellent. Thanks.
exercise,
C-grade one, B-grade
strenuous
one, A-grade
exercise,
Yeah.
and you'd lose about half a stone.
Would you? Yeah. In those conditions.
Okay. So we'll work it all out.
You had to wear shirts, and we'd go white when we sweated that much
You went white. She went white.
that all our tan and that
You lost it.
lose it. You lose it in a few days. You go white,
Yeah.
then you had to brown up again.
Yeah. Hey, what's the go? It's 5
Well,
o'clock.
we another cup of tea and then we get going.
Yeah, well, you
'Cause
better have something
we-
to eat, hadn't
No,
you? Hey?
we've had plenty. What?
You sure?
You're not hungry, are you?
No.
No.
No, I'm not.
What we'll do,
All
I
right.
don't know,
I got
hamburger at Wakefield and,
Yeah.
or whatever.
You want a cup of tea now before you go?
Cup of tea. Can
Or-
we have a
or
cup
do you
of
wanna
tea
get
before we
going?
go? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have a, do you want a drink? Even though I don't feel like a lot, but just a bit of a drink? What do you reckon?
Well, alcohol?
No.
Yeah.
You like a cup of tea?
Oh, yeah.
Or they might
Yeah,
prefer
cup of
a
tea.
glass of juice.
Hot drink or cold?
Huh?
A hot drink or a
Or
cold
you
drink?
can have a glass of it's apple and mango juice.
Yeah.
Would you like that?
Or a cup of tea. What would you prefer?
Right, okay. We'll have a cup of tea on the way home.
Right,
Yeah.
cold drink.